a guy who's had a great NBA career, the franchise, Steve Francis. Steve, how are you, man?
What's up, guys? How y'all doing, man?
Doing well. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem, man. What's up?
And Steve, let's get right down to it. I want to talk about the Lakers right now, the mediocre Lakers, the Lakers that barely beat the Washington Wizards last night. I mean, this is a team that's struggling right now. Steve, when you watch the Lakers, what's wrong? What do you think is wrong?
I just see right now that timing is not there. Like Kobe, when Kobe stated the other day, the White's not, back to where he really wants to be. I think they're struggling to mesh to me. But, of course, they're like the Cowboys. Everybody's looking to play the Lakers, and everybody's going to go out and give them the best every single night. So they're battle at the time, but I think they can put it together eventually.
And you think they can put it together? I have some questions at this point, but Steve Nash is expected to come back. Steve Nash can do a lot of things, but one thing that he is not known for is defending. This Lakers team is having a hard time defending teams as well.
I think offensively, that's what they're missing. I mean, defensively, D'Antoni's system has always been a score-first type of, system. So, I mean, they're just going to try to outscore everybody, but I don't think they're looking for him to come back and be a Gary Payton or something like that.
and if they are, he can't do it. He definitely can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I mean, I look at the situation with the Lakers, and I look at the coaching, and I say to myself, you had an opportunity at Phil Jackson. We're talking about the great Phil Jackson, and you decide to go with Mike D'Antoni. Is Mike D'Antoni the right guy for this job?
I wouldn't say he's better than Phil Jackson. If the Lakers didn't want to pay that type of capital, I can understand it from their aspect. But, of course, we know they got the most money in the NBA probably. But, they went with D'Antoni. But Phil Jackson would have been a heck of a fit for him. But, I'm not taking up for the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking up for him. But I think for Mike Brown, it was just sad what happened to Mike Brown, and I really think that was an unfortunate situation for him.
But so all in all, I mean, do you think they should have kept Mike Brown?
I mean, more than 5 games at least. I mean,
right.
I think he should have been at least more than 5 games.
We look at the Lakers, the bad in the Lakers, but let's look at the good with the New York Knicks, your former team. They got the best record in the Eastern Conference. I mean, these guys are defending. These guys are hitting the threes. These guys are playing some big-time basketball. Are the Knicks for real?
I think, one thing about the Knicks, I think, they got some key components that, come off the bench. I played with Steve Novak, and I think he's doing a lot of clutch shooting for those guys. Carmelo's doing his thing. J.R. Smith is doing good. So they got a good nucleus over there.
Definitely. And it's interesting. I mean, you look at this Knicks team, this is essentially the same team that Mike D'Antoni had a year ago, and this team is way better than they were a year ago. Is that an indictment on Mike D'Antoni?
It sounds like you're going after D'Antoni, buddy. I'm not jumping in that one. But, you know what, man? When you play in New York, that's completely different, man. You're playing in a quote-unquote mecca of basketball. So every night those lights come on, it's like lights, camera, action, really. It's just pressure money as soon as you walk out that locker room.
Right.
But I really think the way that they're playing right now, Carmelo stepped this game up, that they become a good team.
We're talking to the franchise, Stevie Francis. And Steve, let's go out west right now. Let's look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are 19-4. Even after the Harden trade, they really haven't missed a beat. You got the Clippers out west who are balling. You got the Spurs who are still there. You got the Grizzlies who are a big-time basketball team as well. But all in all, is OKC the best team out west still?
Pretty much. I mean, of course, Miami won last year. The West has tough teams. Even the East, both have tough teams. But I think, with the Western Conference, with like 7 or 8 powerhouses out there, it's going to be tough to beat them.
Definitely. I mean, the West is stacked, and when those playoffs start, it should be good. It should be some good basketball when that gets started in the playoffs. And speaking of Oklahoma City, I wanted to get your take here. You had James Harden, who eventually would go to your Houston Rockets, but he essentially took $25 million more to go with the Rockets. Hypothetically speaking, if you were in James Harden's situation, would you stay with OKC and possibly be a part of a dynasty, or would you go to the Houston Rockets and take the extra $25 million?
It depends where he was at his career. Was the money more important, or was winning championships more important? So, I wouldn't even want to put myself in his shoes, because that's a tough decision. If you want the money, or do you want to continue to win championships, which they possibly could have did over, a period of time. But
right,
money talks. You know that.
It sure does. It sure does. $25 million can get you a lot of things. And we look at the acquisition of James Harden. As a former Rocket, how do you like the acquisition of Harden for the Rockets?
I actually went to the Lakers game the other day.
Okay.
To me, he is an excellent talent. As far as them being a go-to player consistently, I don't see that yet. But them just getting comfortable with being known as the face of the Rocket. I mean, of course, you have Jeremy Lin over there, but at the same time, for him, it's going to take time for him to adjust to be like, hey, I got to be the guy to shoot the ball when it's 5 seconds left, rather than being a sixth man coming off the bench.
And that is the question in terms of James Harden. Is he truly a franchise guy? And he's getting paid like a franchise guy, so I guess on some level he has to be.
Yeah, buddy.
and earlier this year, your former coach, Jeff Van Gundy, had an interesting comment. He said his biggest regret is he tried to change you too soon. Looking back on that whole situation, did you think that really was the case?
At that time, I really, when Coach Van Gundy came over, I really thought I was unstoppable,
Okay.
And he didn't want me to shoot as much. He didn't want, he wanted me to defend more. Did we both make mistakes at that time? Yes, we both did. And I was so excited that he recognized that through, our relationship, and we still remain friends to this day. Me and him cool as a fan. And
the funny thing is, he says he coached a Russell Westbrook. He coached Steve Francis. Do you see any similarities between you and Westbrook's game?
Westbrook is a tough individual, man. He's a very tough basketball player. And, he's very aggressive. He's very aggressive. He wants to get to the bucket. He wants to make sure he finishes man off at any aspect. And with that being said, those are some of the things that I usually try to accomplish myself.
And you did it. You did it for a long time. We're talking to the franchise, Steve Francis, and Steve, you're doing big things in the community now with the Steve Francis Foundation. You have a big time event coming up tomorrow in Houston with the 12th annual holiday extravaganza. Tell us about some of the great things that will be happening at this event.
First of all, I just want to say thank y'all for having me on. Second of all, these things right here are priceless moments that you see when, you're able to help a family with toys and things like that for kids. So tomorrow here in Houston, we're having our event, and, it's going to be great.
And, I looked at the website, man. You got a lot of great stuff going on there. There's a little bowling, a little bunch of everything. The kids really should be excited at this event.
Yeah, donate some money while you're at it, buddy.
Definitely. Definitely support some of the great things Steve Francis is doing. And I saw an interesting quote on your website, SteveFrancisFoundation.com. The quote was, "That's what God put me on this earth to do, to be a role model. I'm here to show them that there is always a way to get through it." Tell us about that quote.
It was just the gut feeling about, just seeing these families and seeing these type of things, and just being able to realize, damn, you can help somebody out at the same time, and not be brash about it. You can just be yourself, be, a regular human being, and that's where it came from.
Right, and I mean you're doing big things. You did big things on the court, and you're doing big things off the court, man. And I mean I can hear the excitement in your voice, man. You really enjoy giving back and really enjoy helping the less fortunate.
Yeah, I mean I grew up in Washington D.C. You know, my mom had food stamps. I don't know if y'all know what that is. Food stamps.
I do. You know,
that's what I grew up on, man. So if I'm able to help the community in any aspect, I'm there for it.
And, you know, I dabbled in food stamps a little bit as a youngster myself, so I understand exactly what you're saying. And, Steve, I wanted to change.
When you had the food stamps, did you hide when you ran in the store?
I used to let my brother go. I was a little ashamed of it. Ashamed of it. But it is what it is. I'm not on food stamps now. You're not on food stamps now, and you know we're. I know, Steve. You dabbled a little bit in boxing. Are you still doing some things in boxing?
I've been dealing with James Prince down here in Houston. You know, he has a lot of boxers down here, so we've been, you know, chopping it up, trying to get some things together, and hopefully we'll get back to the top.
And I remember watching Tony Thompson Klitschko fight, the first one. And I saw you in the locker room. I know I saw you around Sean Bay Mitchell as well. So I know you've been involved in the boxing scene. And also, Steve, you know boxing. You like boxing. What do you think about what you saw last week? Pacquiao Marquez.
No comment. Wow. I mean, those guys are true warriors. They really fought. You know, they fought 4 times. So those guys really, you know, when they see each other, like it's a complete beef. Like they're beefing with each other. So, you know, you're gonna get that type of thing. But I think they might fight again. If they do, you know, hopefully it'll be a good fight.
You know, the one thing about that fight that you know, it was a good fight, great fight, obviously. But the thing that hurt me is now we may not see Pacquiao Mayweather.
Man, I mean, of course, Floyd did the, you know, he wanted to test Pacquiao for steroids and things like that. But that definitely would have been a great fight. You know, if they fight now, I'm not sure if they'll fight. I'm not sure. Maybe I need to call my inside sources in my Stephen A. Smith voice. Might call my sources to find out. But maybe they will fight.
Call your sources. Let me know. Let me know what you get when you call your sources. Pass it along to me.
Okay.
And Steve, obviously, again, you're doing great things in the community. Fans, go out and support some of the great things Steve Francis has going on. SteveFrancisFoundation.com. Follow Steve and his foundation on Twitter. You got Steve Franchise 3 and also SF3 Foundation. Follow this man on Twitter. Go to his website. Support some of the great things he's doing in the community. He's giving back. He's giving back, and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. To whom much is given, much is expected. And, Steve, you're doing your thing, man. Keep doing it.
Appreciate it. We'll get back on. I'll get back on the air with y'all probably next week or a couple weeks or so, whatever.
Definitely. Steve, I want to have you back on, talk some more basketball, talk some more of this foundation.